Welcome back from the break. You're still watching This Week, and of course, I'm Sumner Sambo. We'll now move to the Code of Conduct Bureau, which has disclosed that it will monitor all public officials participating in the conduct of the 2023 governorship and state houses of assembly elections, just like it did with that of the presidential election. Now, the chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau, Issa Mohammed, has said that the CCB is mandated by the provisions of the law to ensure compliance and, where appropriate, enforce the provisions of Code of Conduct or any law related to it. The Code of Conduct Bureau says it will be carrying out this assignment in the interest of the nation and to ensure that public officials live up to the standard of patriotism they swore to abide with. Well, joining us in the studio now is Honorable Agbonayinma, who's popularly known as EJ Agbonayinma. He's a commissioner in charge of monitoring Code of Conduct Bureau, and of course, he's a former federal lawmaker, having been a member of the House of Representatives. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, and thank to our viewers out there.
Yeah, and so a lot of Nigerians are wondering what the Code of Conduct Bureau is actually doing with this monitoring of elections. They saw you during the presidential election, including at the Presidential Coalition Center. And then now there have been calls that INEC hasn't performed its job very well. And we have public officials in INEC. Is the CCB thinking of looking into INEC with these allegations, including some parties calling for INEC national chairman to resign?
Thank you very much. Of course, you know what the law says, and the Code of Conduct Bureau is enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the Code of Conduct Bureau is in the business of fighting corruption and abuse of public officers. Every public officer, to be honest to you, should abide by the rules and regulations of the Code of Conduct as set out by the Constitution. And this is to ensure that every public officer conform to the highest standard of morality and accountability in discharging their duties. But unfortunately, there are always hinges here and there. But we are going to do our job. The mandate given to the Code of Conduct Bureau will not do anything outside our mandate, the scope, to monitor. Of course, we went to monitor the general election. Of course, you saw us there, and the governorship election is coming around. Don't forget, we have 36 states where we have our various offices, Code of Conduct Bureau offices in the 36 states, including FCT here. We have already, the chairman, the Bureau have already telling them the rules and engagement and what is expected for them to do, just to monitor and observe and make sure that they collate our report and send back to the headquarters, to the chairman.
Yeah, and that's what I'm asking you, that INEC officials are being accused of not performing optimally. So what would the CCB be doing in this instance? And then, of course, you will be having State Electoral Commission officials who will be supporting INEC and all of that. How do we ensure that, your organization works very well to ensure that people believe in the process, that if any public official misbehaves, doesn't perform his or her function very well, I mean, the CCB will be out for them?
You are very right. Let me say this without fear of favor. We have been receiving petition, and I also want to tell Nigerians that if they find anyone one thing, it is their constitutional right as a citizen to report that person by writing petition to address to the chairman, Code of Conduct Bureau, attention on it, election, monitoring committee. I am the head. So that we can look at it and look at the merit and see if possible those that they have petitioned against, if we can bring any charges against such people.
Okay. Including if they have evidences.
Of course, you know that we have to do justice to it.
Yeah, because I mean, like the EFCC and ICPC, they receive dozens of petitions here and there, but most times when people are called to provide evidence, they don't have enough evidence to back up their petitions.
The same thing here too. We receive a lot, and we expect them. If they can't come to Abuja, we have offices in various states, in the 36 states of the nation, so they can go to our office. So the director of the state will definitely direct such a petition to the headquarters to be addressed to the chairman, Code of Conduct Bureau. We are not going to leave any stone unturned. But let me be honest to you that I am not going to be here to tell Nigerians what we are doing as of today. Because the Code of Conduct Bureau is in business just to do that mandate within the scope of the law.
And some people wonder, the CCB is one of the oldest anti-corruption agencies in Nigeria. I mean, having been set up, I think in the 70s or so. And then we have a situation whereby a lot of people thought that it was focused on just the issues of assets verification of public officials and all of that. So when people see you now coming out to say you're also monitoring public officials during elections, wouldn't people say that, look, I mean, isn't the Code of Conduct going beyond its powers? Isn't it acting ultra vires, as lawyers would say?
At all. When the position given to you is a trust, and that trust, as a public officer, we deal specifically with public officers. At least we have EFCC and ICPC that deals with other,
economic and financial crimes.
We are mandated to deal with public officer, maintaining, the code of conduct for public officer. Not breaching the code of conduct for public officer. That is having that trust. That means you must do everything humanly possible so that not to get yourself having conflicts of interest, abuse of power. People always believe that it's only asset declaration, that's what we deal with. No, that is not correct. It goes beyond that. We have up to about 14 other codes of Code of Conduct Bureau, and some people, there are some even elected officers that when sometimes I approach them, they say, no, I thought we only handle asset declaration.
Especially the asset declaration forms, that's where all their focus.
Some people declare anticipatory declarations, some people declare what they have not even purchased. These are all breach of code of conduct and failure not to even declare. Just now, we have a lot of petition against some of the candidates that are aspiring. And when they were in government, when they were as a public officer, they refused to declare. We have a lot of petition against them.
Yeah, of course, and then when you look at it now, some people will tell you that they will be much more afraid of EFCC or ICPC rather than the Code of Conduct Bureau. Because over time, when cases terminate at the Code of Conduct Tribunal, it looks like the Code of Conduct Tribunal doesn't give you, the CCB, enough backing and bite. I mean, everybody, including the president-elect now, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he had issues with the Code of Conduct Bureau, which went to the Code of Conduct Tribunal, and we saw how it ended. The same thing with former President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, and the allegations are that the CCB and the CCT all engage in witch hunt because they are under the purview of the presidency.
I totally disagree with you.
Because they said that they are under the presidency, so the presidency directs them to do only what they want.
That is not right. Let me say, I took an oath to protect, to defend, and uphold to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not to Mr. President, not to the chairman, not to nobody.
But your CCB is domiciled within the presidency.
And the president at no given time have given all directives or to do this or that. It has never happened since I came to Code of Conduct Bureau. As you may see, let me say, when I say the people begin to wonder, at the time, the chief, that is the CJN of this nation, the CJN.
As the Chief Justice of Nigeria.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria. Justice Onoge was prosecuted because he operated foreign account and he refused to declare most of his assets. And ignorant is not admissible in law at the time.
Well, so Nigeria said that process was also politicized by the government.
No, until proven guilty, you are innocent. But when he himself admitted that he forgot to declare, that's what I'm telling you. As a CJN, Chief Justice of the Federation, for that matter, ignorance is not admissible in the court of law. So I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a lawmaker, I'm not a lawbreaker. But I must say this, until we understand that we do have constitution of our dear nation. It's a total guide, it's a principle. Most of us.
The Code of Conduct Bureau has a special place, a special schedule that's dedicated to it. How come the Code of Conduct Bureau has over the years remained like a lame dog, not being active until maybe people like you came into office?
I'll say this, that first of all, the staff are poorly paid and the funding is poor, too poor. The National Assembly have done well for us. Mr. President have tried. But when he leaves National Assembly, it goes to other agency. At the end of the day, they step us down, whereby they give smaller agency billions. Code of Conduct Bureau that have been as far back. Murtala Mohammed, he set up this Code of Conduct Bureau. But since it was when it
That's former military head of state.
Former military head of state. When it came to 1988, former president, that is Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida,
military president,
he now took it upon himself to make sure that Code of Conduct Bureau is well supported. And again, I'll tell you, this government under President Buhari, in fairness, this is the only time that you see Code of Conduct Bureau being held. All this year, nobody.
Yeah, because I mean, they thought you dealt with assets declaration forms alone, and there were allegations that there were lots of corruption in the CCB itself, and that people could actually just buy asset declaration forms and submit even when they are in office. But the law says that they should do that before they get into office. Now, that's why you mentioned the issue of anticipatory declaration of assets.
And we've seen a lot of that. We've seen a lot of people, conducting themselves, like you said about this electoral process.
Very quickly, as we try to wrap up.
Electoral process, some of the issues that have taken place. Any public officer that were involved in the electioneering, that have conducted themselves, that have breached the code of conduct for public officer, and if such people are proven that they did breach the code of conduct for public officer in executing the mandate given to them, that is the trust given to them, definitely we will charge such person to the tribunal.
Including those who collected money from politicians and built new houses, buy new cars after the elections, and all of that. And how do you monitor those people?
Let me tell you, to remind you, you said something about the president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, former senator and former governor. Let me say that, please, when you say that it was compromised, there was nothing of such. Now, when you are prosecuting, you must make sure that the investigation must be properly done. He was discharged.
Well, the allegations were that the then President Goodluck Jonathan wanted to hit back at Bola Ahmed Tinubu for organizing partly the Occupy Nigeria protest.
I'm not privileged to that. I'm not privileged to that.
And so the thinking was that it was a political witch hunt.
He was prosecuted, but at the end of the day, he was discharged. If he was discharged, so there's no case to talk about. So
and then the Buhari government was also accused of allegedly, sponsoring the prosecution of Bukola Saraki, former president of the Senate, because he met Senate president without the consent of Buhari or APC.
When you say President Buhari, I am not there. I'm not his spokesman. Yeah. But I cannot attest to say that Buhari did it. But your media, you are saying it.
Well, I don't know. This is what politicians told us, and that's why we said these are allegations.
It's an allegation. Until proven guilty, you are innocent. There are so many allegations going on.
All right, very quickly.
But let me tell you that.
Okay, very quickly before we go.
Seeing a crime be committed and failure to report the scene of that crime to the nearest law enforcement agency, you are as guilty as the man or woman who committed that crime. Okay. So every Nigerian, every patriotic Nigerian, I think, have the right to petition the Code of Conduct Bureau. If you have any issue, if you believe that any person, public officer, has violated,
including INEC officials.
When I mean public officer, including
the police
officer,
including civil defense,
all of
officials,
the above.
Anyone who's charged with conducting this election or supporting the election.
Even Mr. President, I'll tell you, it goes beyond that, not just from the top to the bottom. So, but let us not say that we are witch hunting. We don't witch hunt anyone.
All right, Honorable E.J. Agbonayinma.
So I want to correct you.
Yeah, I mean, the thinking has always been that agency, because it was domiciled in the presidency, it was often used by the presidency to witch hunt other political parties. Okay, we must thank you so much. Honorable Ehiozua Agbonayinma is a National Commissioner with the Code of Conduct Bureau, and of course, he represents the South-South geopolitical zone in that bureau. And he has said it here. It's time for politicians and public officers to be afraid of you, just like the way they do with the EFCC and ICPC. But most time, but to know that the law can catch up with them.
Definitely.
Well, this is where we'll have to draw the curtain on the program today on behalf of our team in London, Lagos, and Abuja. We must thank you so much for watching and do enjoy the rest of the day. I'm Somna Sambo. Thank you so much for watching.